Okay, here is another question after some time. This one we are just asking another question. Okay, so let's see how what the question is, and based on this question, we'll have to figure out a solution for this. So here, electricity board calculates amount the consumer has to pay for the units used by them. Okay, so each customer will be using electricity and is calculated in units, and based on that units, the calculation has to be done. And here we are given you how the electricity board is going to calculate according to this exercise. Okay, so if the user uses any electricity up to 60 units, he will be charged at 10 rupees or $10 or whatever, 10 per unit. If the number of units used goes above 60 up to 90, the charges will be 12 per unit. But what you have to understand here is the first 60 units will be charged at 10. Anything above 60 only will be charged, up to 90 will be charged at 12. Same way, if the user uses anything above 90 units up to 110, then that set will be charged at $15 or rupees or whatever the currency is. The 60 to 90 part in that 90 set will be calculated at 12, and up to 60 will be calculated at 10. Same way, if the consumer consumes more than 110 units, anything above 110 units, the above 110 units will be charged at 25, but up to 110, from 90 to 110 should be charged at 15, 60 to 90, so like that. So we give an example here, so let's try and understand the example, and then you can try the exercise, okay? So in the example, if you see, if a customer or consumer uses 45 units, then what happens is it comes under this first slab up to 45 units. Then the 45 units that the customer or the consumer has used will be charged at 10. So 45 into 10, 450 has to be paid if it is 45. Or similar calculation will be done anything up to 60. Now the second example is using 64 units, that is above 60. So in this case, the 4 units is above 60. So up to 60 will be charged at 10. So that part will be charged at 10. Therefore 60 into 10 will be 600. The 4 units will be charged at 12. So that will be 2048. So 648, therefore 600 from the 60 units and the 48 coming from this part. The 4 units will be calculated at 12 rupees or $12, and that will be added to this to make the total value payable if you use 64 units to 648. Same way, if someone uses 121, which means it's going to be above this. Okay, I have not used this, but this also is similar. Above 120 units, above 110 units, 121 units, what happens is the first 60 will be charged at 10, then 30 units, that is from 60 to 90 units, which is 30 units, will be charged at 12, and then there is again another 90 to 110 units, which will be charged at 15, whatever the currency is, rupees, dollars, whatever, and anything above will be charged at 25. So in this case, since it is 121 units, up to 110 will be charged from these 3, and above 120, above 110 we have another 11 in this case, okay? 110 plus 11 is the additional part to come to 121. So the 11 units will be charged at 25, and if you work that out, 60 by 10, the 30 by 12, and the balance 20 here by 15, and the rest of 11 by 25, the total comes to 1535. So this is how the calculation should be done. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to write a NS chart to accept the number of units consumed by a client or user, and display how much they have to pay. So based on, for example, if they are type 45, you have to say 450 is what the payment needs to be. If they type 64, it should display 648. If you type 121, it should give 1535. So this is the exercise we are trying to do in this case. Okay. So I hope you understood the exercise. First you understand the exercise. If you're not, replay this video and understand the question, and then you first take some time and try to see whether you can provide a solution for this. Okay. And as I have already mentioned in my previous videos, a solution for any problem can be different. I mean, there is not only one solution. There will be several solutions. So whatever we are going to write will be one of those solutions. So one way. There can be other ways to do the same, solve the same problem. Okay. So just always remember that, right? So now let's go to our solution. I have provided two versions, if you can see. Both versions are identical. There is no major difference. I'll show you the difference. The difference is now I have different paths. For example, the first path is after getting the units, if the units is less than 0, that is not possible. No. If a user has used units, or if they have not used, it will be 0. If you have used units, it will be above 0. If they have not used, 0. So number of units can never be negative. So what I have done in this both in this chart is first checked after the user enters the unit, is it below 0? If so, we give a message saying invalid units. We don't want to calculate that. There is nothing we can do if the user enters a minus value. And when you are accepting values from a user, user can type whatever they want. So we have to cater to that. So in case the user types a negative number, the first decision box checks to see whether it is a negative number. Is the units less than 0? If yes, show invalid units and come here and terminate. Nothing else will be done. So in both cases, it will be the same. If you enter a number, negative, less than 0, yes, done. Right? But the difference between the two versions here is, if you look at, I have provided, there are different slabs. So each slab I have given a way to do the calculation. Okay, each of these are depending on if the user is using up to 60 or 60 to 90 or 90 to 110 or above 110. So there are 4 slabs. So these are the 4 slab calculations. Same here, right? The major difference here is if the user uses up to 60, we have to calculate whatever the units entered by 10. Same thing. So that is, this part is going to handle that. I will dry run this and show you how this part is going to handle that. Okay. If the user uses anything up to 90, then the calculation is done by this one. Because I can't do these calculations if they use anything above 60, because the above 60 part has to be calculated at 12. So that is why I have done that here. And the next slab is here, the next slab is here, right? So why is these two different? Or almost they are same. The difference is, if you look at, if 60 units, I just put it like that, so no issue. If they use more than 60 up to 90, here I have shown that 60 units is going to be calculated by 10, 16 to 10 plus the rest by 12. I have indicated like that. Here in this chart, I have basically worked out this calculation. 16 to 10 is on 600, right? So directly I have entered 600 and done it. So you can do it either this way or that way, no issue. I'll discuss about that in a minute. The next problem is here. If it is going up to 90 units, then the first 60 has to be calculated at 10. The next 30 has to be calculated at 12. So 16 to 10, 600. 30 into 12, 360. So that comes to 960. So in this NS chart, I have directly put 960. In this one, I am showing the first 10 is going to be calculated. So when you look at the NS chart, you know, okay, we are doing a 16 to 10 calculation plus 13 to 12 calculation. Whereas if you look at this NS chart, we have directly put the final result. So if you see this NS chart at a later time, you might not immediately understand why am I getting 960 here. So being more specific is much better for you to maintain it at a later stage or watch, look at it and understand how this is done. What is this calculation? So same goes to the next part also, the above 110. So in the above 110 also I have shown 60 is calculated at 10, the balance 30 up to 90 is calculated at 12, the rest 20 up to 110 is calculated at 15, the rest is calculated at 25. In this NS chart, I have just added this result and put it as 1060 plus 60 into 10 plus 30 into 12 plus 20 into 15. Added, put the total value here. So you can either do this way or this way. The result will be correct. Both answers will be correct. Okay. So what I have done is I have out of these two, I have selected. I'm going to use this and dry run it because I want to indicate that writing a NS chart in this manner is much more better than writing this way because of the calculation and how it is done is visible. Even when you look at this after 6 months time, this NS chart, the values are there. Whereas here we have just a figure here which says 1260, 960, 600, which may confuse you at a later stage, and you might wonder how this came up and try to see things like that. So when you're writing the NS chart of programs, generally it is better to put the calculation as it is without putting the result, since when you're reading the NS chart back at a later time, you can exactly see what the calculation is done. So the computer will do the calculation on its own and arrive at this result, same result. But why this result is coming is indicated here, how it is coming. Okay, so that is why I'm going to use this NS chart and dry run, even though this is also same identical thing. Okay.